Hey guys, everything new under the sun. Here is a look at an article. This is a Debka file article. I've also got another one about Iran threatening strikes on U.S. We're going to take a look at that. First, U.S. and this is from May 1st, yesterday. U.S. sources: Israel prepares for war with Iran. And I just did a video about WhatsApp, a rumor of a war within 24 to 48 hours. Could this be part, really, of that? 3 U.S. officials are quoted by NBC TV as disclosing that the airstrike Sunday night, which killed 24 Iranian soldiers near Hama and targeted arms recently delivered from Iran, was carried out by Israeli F-15Is. This was seen as the latest sign that Israel and Iran are moving closer to open warfare, overt war, nation against nation, kingdom against kingdom, as the Bible states, wars and rumors of wars. The targeted arms were recently delivered from Iran to the base of Iran's 47th Brigade and included surface-to-air missiles. Goes on, the same U.S. sources claim that the second airstrike on the Iranian base near Aleppo was the work of unidentified Syrian rebels. Well, let's go to the article that gives us an update on what Iran is saying. This is from ynetnews.com. Let's see. Iran leader: the U.S. will be hit multiple times if it enters a conflict with Iran. Now you got to start thinking about Ezekiel 38, where the Western nations aren't really listed in the prophetic scriptures as it relates to being involved in the end-time prophetic battles. And so you got to think, well, what takes the U.S., for example, the one currently world superpower, world military power, what takes them out or convinces them not to join the war against Gog-Magog in Ezekiel 38? And one thing could be an economic collapse. I think that will be the case. That's the most likely, I think. But the second likely option is that maybe Russia does a preemptive strike, nuclear, an EMP blast or something. Or what does Iran have the capability to launch a nuclear weapon on the United States, which takes them out takes their ability away to protect Israel in the last days? And God, I think, is orchestrating it so that Israel has to depend on him in the Gog-Magog war. It will come down to all nations will hate Israel and no nations will support Israel during Gog-Magog. Israel will then think they can defend themselves, and they will attempt it, and they will get to a point where they're being overrun by Gog-Magog, and then they will fall back and say, you know what, now we need to call out on God because we can't do this. And God indeed will come and show miraculous signs, not only to show miraculous signs to Israel and to increase their faith, but also to show the world who is actually in power. Well, it goes on. Ayatollah Ali Khamenei said Monday said Monday the time when Iran's enemies can hit and run is over. They know if they enter military conflict with Iran, this is speaking about the U.S., they will be hit multiple times, he said in comments during a meeting with workers, according to the website. He did not specifically refer to the latest attack in Syria, which claimed the lives of at least 26 people, most of them were Iranians. Khamenei also hit out at the United States a day after the Secretary of State Mike Pompeo visited Riyadh, accusing Washington of trying to stoke a regional crisis by provoking its ally Saudi Arabia to confront Iran. Of course, Saudi Arabia is against Iran. And in Bible prophecy, we know that Saudi Arabia will in some way be allied with Israel, at least not be against Israel in the last days, interestingly, because there's some blessings on Saudi Arabia and some text to that effect. That, like I say, in the last days that Saudi Arabia will indeed actually be on the side of Israel, which is incredible. In remarks broadcast on state television, Ayatollah Khamenei reiterated long-standing calls for the United States to leave the Middle East, which he called Iran's home, and said any power seeking to challenge Iran would be defeated. One of the ways to confront Iran is to provoke inexperienced rulers of the region, he said, in an apparent reference to Saudi Arabia's 32-year-old Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman, MBS as he is known. Americans are trying to provoke Saudi Arabia against Tehran. Their aim is to create more regional crisis and to push Muslims to fight against Muslims. Muslims will indeed fight against Muslims. There's some interesting things where God turns the people of Gog-Magog against each other, where they start fighting against each other. And I think that could reflect to the Muslims, the Sunni Shia division there, where they start fighting against each other, and it's because of supernatural forces that convince them to do that. So again, interesting that he says that Muslims fight against each other, and he knows it, and the Muslim world knows it. They battle within, as long as they don't have a similar enemy. It goes on, if these governments gain more wisdom, they will not confront Iran. If they confront Iran, they will be defeated. Khamenei's remarks were aired a day after Pompeo met King Salman. Pompeo said on Sunday during the visit to Israel that the United States was deeply concerned by Iran's destabilizing and maligning activities. So stuff is heating up there in the Middle East, as it has been. We're ramping up to what appears to be Gog-Magog, Isaiah 17, the prophetic battles that are to occur. These things have shelf lives, as J.D. Farag likes to say. They're heated up to a point where they can't go on. This can't go on for 100 years, where you have these almost battles. And I think we're at a point where Russia is involved now, Iran is involved now, China is involved now. And you have a point where, again, they're not going to keep their military, their tanks, or their weapons, their radar systems in Syria forever. This doesn't last for 200 years, 300 years. It doesn't. I don't even think it would last even 50 years. They're going to use their weaponry. That's what countries do when they move their weaponry somewhere. They use it. That's always the case. And so I think we'll see a battle coming up shortly. So huge things coming, and threatening by Iran that if the U.S. enters the conflict, Iran is going to lob missiles at the U.S. Is this part of what takes the United States and Western powers out of the Middle East, out of the Gog-Magog, specifically that prophetic war? And so to the point where you don't see them listed there. All they're doing is saying some words, so there's a remnant, there's a few people still around. Maybe there's a government still up, but the country itself is very handicapped, maybe mostly destroyed, or to the point where they've been pushed or triggered, or economic collapse was triggered on the nation, maybe triggered by an EMP or a nuclear explosion, and that causes a market crash, which takes out the economy. And then all they do have left is words, and they can't militarily confront Iran or support Israel at that point in time. Something to think about. These are the stories that we're weaving together as watchmen on the wall. You look at these things and you say, how do these things lead us to end-time Bible prophecy? And I put out scenarios there. I don't know which is going to be true. The Bible doesn't specify, and it doesn't specify for a reason, because it doesn't want us to be worried about something. It doesn't want our focus to be somewhere else. It doesn't want our attention to be diverted. We need to be followers of Christ and disciples of Christ. We need to tell others about the good news, which is what I try to do on this channel. If you don't know Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior, He's coming back soon. These prophetic battles are being fulfilled. Bible prophecy is being fulfilled. He's coming back soon. If your heart is not right with Him, you'll live in eternity apart from Him. That is also known as hell. Hell is simply an eternity apart from God, apart from love, apart from light. That's all it is. And you don't want to be there. Jesus died 2,000 years ago for my sin and your sin. He's coming back again soon. I think we have probably less than 10 years at this point. And so ask Jesus into your heart as your Lord and Savior. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll leave it there. We'll see you guys in the next video.